Alright, so let's get right into it. So this week is going to be kicking off the first week of OKL. OKL, and my week one opponent is, if we can scroll over, is Frostmoth Supremacy. And this is ChallengerSeb. He's a good friend in the Super Smash Bros. Community in West Michigan. He's also mainly a doubles player, so this was his first time doing a singles NatDex draft. And he drafted a pretty interesting team. He drafted a snow team with pretty good big threats like Blaziken, Mamoswine, Frostmoth, Chansey. He had a decently built snow team, and while I did build a team which I was pretty confident in, you never know, because he has a lot of like very good mons. He has like Klefki and Chansey, which can be annoying. Cinccino is actually a pretty sleeper pick. I think it's pretty fast, so I was kind of concerned about that. But when I looked at his team, the Pokemon I was most afraid of was, okay, Mamoswine is a problem, dude. This thing has used my entire team for neutral damage with stab moves. If it's banded, that's even scarier. So I immediately locked down that choice banded Mamoswine is gonna be like the thing that destroys me if I do get destroyed. I also looked at his team. And then this is the team I ended up bringing for week one. And I looked at this team and I was like, these are the 6 Pokemon I'm going to bring. But the first one is my Mega Lopunny, which this Mega Lopunny was pretty much built to be my default lead for these games. And I built it to have a good lead matchup with everything. So if we take a closer look here. The moves I chose for were Close Combat, Iron Tail, Fake Out, and U-Turn, and that's because I figured for Seb's team, his most likely leads were going to be Ninetales, Mamoswine, Klefki, or maybe Blaziken. And I'm running down how this all went in my head. So if he let off Ninetales instead of Snow or instead of Aurora Veil, I would go, okay, Fake Out and then Fake Out to stall a turn of Snow and Iron Tail, so that because Iron Tail one hit KOs. Because I did the calc. And I'll show you the calc right now. Lopunny against Lola Ninetales with max HP doesn't kill with Fake Out with CC. It's not even close. So an Iron Tail does OHKO. So I teched an Iron Tail over return. And the reason why I was okay with not having normal coverage was because if you look at Seb's team, and he has only one fighting resist, which is Butterfree. So which is a Butterfree. So I'm not gonna care if I can't hit it in return, right? It's a Butterfree. Who cares? So I was like, okay, Lopunny's pretty free to just swing fighting moves at him, and I can free up more of my move slots for the Iron Tail. And then going down, his other lead, which I saw, this also destroys his other lead, which is Mamoswine. Because if I saw he let off Mamoswine. It's either going to be Sash or it's going to be Choice Band. Much more afraid of Choice Band, by the way. And as he did that, I'm just going to Fake Out and I'm going to CC it. And he's in a really bad position because nothing wants to come in on a Lopunny CC. Because he doesn't know that I don't have return, right? So even if he had Butterfree, he's like, oh, I could switch my Butterfree to a CC, but I'm just going to set that in return anyway. And then the third lead was Klefki, and my strat against Klefki was I'm going to Fake Out without Mega Evolving to first of all, to just stall one, not just stall one turn, but this also item checks him. Because if I Fake Out him immediately, I immediately learn if he's leftovers or not. It's important because if he's not leftovers, I can immedially infer that he's Light Clay and he's a screen setter. And then from that point, I was gonna stay not Mega Form and then U-Turn out. And the reason why I'm gonna do this is because Mega Lopunny's free Mega ability is Limber, which means it can't be paralyzed. So if he goes for a Thunder Wave on my Lopunny, expecting me to Mega and CC, I'm not gonna get hit by the T-Wave. So I have a U-Turn out, and then I would bring in my Meowscarada, or my Jorga, or my Clodsire, any one of the three. Preferably my Meowscarada, so I can break his screens. So if I did find out he was a screen set with Light Clay, I was gonna Meowscarada and break his screens. If I didn't, I was probably gonna go Jorg. I was probably gonna go into my Clodsire. My Clodsire, my Colossal, my bad. And the fourth lead was his Blaziken. Again, because he's more likely to have a Protect on his Blaziken, I wouldn't use that first turn of Fake Out. In fact, I would just probably hard swap straight to my Clodsire. And we'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about my Clodsire set in a second. But yeah, that's pretty much a low pony set. It's only got EVs are pretty specific. It's 152 Jolly because this outspeeds +1 speed Frosmoth, which gets up to 377, I think, after +1. So I can also support dump these EVs and HP. I could have calculated something really specific that I wanted to survive, but I just didn't. And I couldn't quite run Adamant, so these are just EVs I opted for. And either way, it was still very good. And then my second Pokemon was my Colossal. Colossal actually had a pretty good matchup versus him. He couldn't really deal with it. He couldn't really really deal with it. Like he had a Blaziken and a Meowscarada, but it does a good job of dealing with other Pokemon like Frosmoth and Frosmoth, Klefki, Ninetales, and Cinccino, and even Pikachu. So it just comes in and takes hits from those. It can set up Stealth Rock. It Fire Spins, which traps people in, and then you can just Heat-Crash them down. Realistically, Fire Spin might have not been the best move to choose, but I thought it'd be cool to trap them in a Fire Spin and then knock them out Heat-Crash instead of rocks for the rest of you. But yeah, this thing was pretty much specially invested so I can take on like Frosmoth and Ninetales no problem. Especially Frosmoth because he's Terra Ghost Frosmoth on it. So if he tries to set it up with Frosmoth, even like +2 Terra Blast Ghost Frosmoth does like nothing to Colossal, and I can just Heat-Crash it. The third Pokemon is Eleanor, my Jirachi. This was practically this is not the best that I could run. This is a Doom Desire Jirachi. I really wanted to use Doom Desire, and I wasn't really sure if I had another chance to use this Doom Desire. It's Steel type Future Sight, and that should win pretty well versus team. But my thinking was here because I'm running so many hazards. Like I have Stealth Rock, I have Spikes on my Clodsire. He might be because I'm forcing him to switch out. He's going to be eating more and more hazards, and the Doom Desire is going to be really effective. And I have my low pony. And my Meowscarada can take a really good advantage of the Doom Desire. This is running just enough speed to outspeed max speed Meowscarada, which is pretty important. And then I just have the rest of it EV'd into HP and defense, because this thing already pretty much deals with the special attackers it has to, which are Ninetales and Frosmoth before Terra Ghosts, and Terra Ghost. So I gave it the physical defense EVs so it can better take on, Meowscarada if it has to take hit from Meowscarada, but more importantly, his Pikachu and his Cinccino. Also pretty importantly, if I have a matchup in where I have Jirachi versus Frosmoth, I'm pretty much forcing him to Terra Ghost, and what that does, it opens him up to being first of all, he's no longer the defense is no longer get boosted by Snow because he's changed his type to that Ghost. But also, it opens up to me being Sucker Punched by my Meowscarada. Which, speaking of, this is my Meowscarada set. This is a pretty standard choice band Meowscarada set of Flower Trick, because it hits through screens and it's still an incredibly strong move. It's pretty spammable versus him. He did have like a Steel type, but he did have a Klefki. But again, like I'm not too concerned about it because then I have knockoff again, just like knockoff like FUD boots and then maybe knockoff chances to Violite. Again, just a pretty strong Dark type move. And then I have Sucker Punch, in circumstances where like Blaziken is starting to sweep or Frosmoth is starting to sweep, and I just need to hit it with a Sucker Punch to knock it out. And the fourth move is Brick Break because I knew for sure he'd be bringing screens. He has a Klefki, which is one of the best screen setters in the game, and the best fail setter in the game of Ninetales. So I knew screens were coming. And also, like I said, with Low Pony, just stealing fighting moves is really strong versus team. And so even though Brick Break is setting by face power, with the Protean changing it to Meowscarada type of fighting, and in Choice Band, Brick Break is going to do a lot of damage anyway. Again, just running enough speed EVs to outspeed Frosmoth at +1 speed. The rest of it are done to attack. And fifth Pokemon is my Clodsire. So even though I was going against the Snow team, I thought Clodsire was still pretty good to bring. For the simple reason that just completely that it was my best answer to Blaziken. Because of Unaware, I didn't have to be. Because of Unaware, it is allowed to just ignore Sword stances that Blaziken sets up. And even if Blaziken's running EQ, I have the Shucka Berry tucked in, which is pretty important because without the Shucka Berry, Blaziken still 2-hit KOs max defense Clodsire for EQ. But with the Shucka Berry, I get 3-hit KO'd instead. And then I can just EQ it down, or set Spikes or Toxic Spikes if I want to. yeah, and then also this takes on like Pikachu and Cinccino, and he's even like good versus Klefki because I can't be paralyzed or toxic. So also did pretty good into Shanty too. So again, just a pretty good mon despite him having a nice team. And then my sixth Pokemon was my Granbull. This last spot was between my Mischievous and my Granbull. I decided for game one I would bring Granbull because I think it's a slightly stronger Pokemon. Pretty much for a couple reasons. First of all, it has Roar, so if once I get my hazard set up, I can start phasing him, and just taking having more hazard damage. I have Heal Bell because he does have Toxic from Chansey and T-Wave from Klefki, which I was kind of concerned about going to this. And then I have Super Fang, so I can just super chunk stuff like his Mamoswine or his Chansey or whatever, his Klefki. And then I have CC, which again just a strong fighting move, which goes pretty well against his team. And it's a max defense Granbull with Intimidate, and this was pretty much just like as like a last resort kind of answer to Mamoswine. Unfortunately, if Mamoswine is oblivious, Intimidate won't affect it. But even still, Granbull can take at least one hit from Choice Band and Mamoswine, and then hit it with CC or something. And I felt pretty confident in this team, so let's just head right into the battle. Again, the Pokemon I was expecting him to bring were Blaziken, Ninetales, Mamoswine, Frosmoth, Klefki, and either Chansey or Cinccino. Whether he wanted if he wanted his team to be either offensive or defensive, he oriented. And the big threat to my team was easily Mamoswine. That one scared me a lot because if you look at my team, Mamoswine destroys his entire team. Like it has a super effective move against almost my entire team because it has like superpower for Lopunny. It has ice moves for these guys, EQ. So pretty much the only Pokemon it didn't hit super effectively was Mischievous, but even then I think it's access to knockoff. So yeah, Mamoswine was super scary. I was so scared of Choice Band and Mamoswine coming into this. But yeah, heading into game one, I see he pretty much has just what I expected. And let's go straight into it. So, turn one, I lead off with my Lopunny, and then I Mega, and I go straight for Fake Out. This is just to break a Sash, pretty much. I just didn't want him to like be sashed and then I died of Superpower or something. So I go for Fake Out, and I turn right away, and he's in a really bad spot here. And while he could have been Choice Scarf Mamoswine here, I came to this and thinking that I'm gonna completely just dismiss the possibility of him being Choice Scarf Mamoswine. Like if he was Choice Scarf Mamoswine, that would have been like a crazy bring from him here and just kill me with superpower. But like, I wasn't too scared of Choice Scarf Mamoswine, and I was fine with like risking my Lopunny here because it's the best string format, so I can bounce back later on, and also like I don't completely lose the game if I lose my Lopunny here. So, and if he's not Choice Scarf Mamoswine, he has no answers for me to see seeing here. Like his entire team just gets 2-hit KO'd at the very worst. At the very best, rather, for him. See, I just fire off the CC here as he goes for Protect. Alright. And then he goes for Ice Shard to get some chip on me before I knock him out with this next CC. He then brings in his Blaziken, and I decided to hard swap out my Clodsire because again this thing was specifically built to beat his Blaziken. So as he goes for the SD on the switch, gets a speed boost. Good prediction of swap, but again I am unaware, so that SD doesn't really matter for me. He has Detect over Protect, whatever. He goes for Blaze Kick, only does 34, and I get EQ off, nearly kills him. And then I go for Recover here because I figured if he keeps hitting me, then because he hits me with Blaze Kick here and I EQ him, he can revenge kill me with like Ninetales or something, Ninetales or Frosmoth, and I want to be like at a decent health point in my Clodsire. But yeah, I recover as he swaps the blade to Chansey. I'm like, this thing doesn't really touch me, so I'm just gonna get hazards up. So I get up a T-Spike, and then he goes for Psychic House again. Speed gets me down, and then gets up a Spike, and I go for Recover again just to heal back up. As he swatches the Sucky, and I just figure he wants to defog here to get rid of my hazard. So I just hard swap to my Meowscarada because it's a Dark type. So any move that Sucky does, like that hits my side of the field, which defog does, it will be negated because it's a Dark type going to Prankstermon. So yeah, he goes for a defog. Doesn't work because I'm a Dark type, and I just fire off the Brick Break here, just in case he sets up a screen, or And orange just in general is pretty strong. I'm pretty sure it just 2-hit KO'd this entire team. So yeah, I Brick Break on the swap. Ninetales goes down. It's 2-hit KO'd. He brings in Frostmoth here. Because of the defense boost, I wasn't really confident in this matchup, so I just hard switched my Colossal here. I think go straight for the Bug Bust, trying to take on my Meowscarada. And then I just Fire Spin him on his Quiver Dance here. He's trying to set up, and I just like, alright, Fire Spin. With Fire Spin plus Toxic, it's going to take him down bit by bit. And then I go for Stealth Rock here, because this prevents his Blaziken from coming in again, because now he just dies to Spike plus Stealth Rock. And also just does a bit more chip to Chansey and Klefki. Like I said before, I'm max special defense. I wasn't really afraid of like anything this one thing to do. And he just tries to get greedy to set up, and I just keep crash him as he goes down. He brings in Klefki again, and I just repeat here, go to Meowscarada. Again, I lose nothing for this play, because if he hard flops out to like Blaziken here or something, he dies of hazards, and then we're back here. Or if he swaps some Chansey, I still can just go for Brick Break and not really care. Yeah, he swaps the Chansey here, gets Stealth Rock, gets spiked. Can't run heavy boost because he has to run a Violet. And then Brick Break actually just kills it. I was kind of surprised. Meowscarada is really strong apparently. And then Blaziken dies to hazards, and this last Pokemon is the Klefki. Goes for T-Wave, works on me now because I'm no longer a Dark type, but I just break him down, and he dies. So yeah, I won the first game in a 6-0. I wasn't expecting that, and my Jirachi and my Scramble didn't even have to come out. So good first game for me. For that first game, like, he was put in a really bad spot because he hit just simply the leading matchup was really bad for him. Like, Focus Sash Fame was fine into my Mega Lopunny, just put him in an awful spot from the very beginning. And it was really hard for him to come back from there. And then we're going to move on to game 2. I did change my team a little bit in between games. I just wanted to clinch the set here because it is best of 3. And I just decided to bring in like a slightly stronger version of Jirachi, which is Choice Scarf, which is a pretty standard Choice Scarf Jirachi. Said Iron Head, Zen Headbutt, U-turn, Healing Wish. Iron Head hits a lot of this team for really good damage, and also can just flinch them. Pretty good because I can surprise him. Like say if I'm against all of the Ninetales, I can Iron him right away, and he'll just go down. And also Choice Scarf outspeeds Choice Scarf Famous Line in case he wants to bring that. And also, this thing with the Choice Scarf does outspeed +1 Blaziken, so which Zen Headbutt I think does what OKL with the Blaziken. And then I have U-turn and I have Healing Wish, just as like a filler move. And if I really need it. And I decided to bring my Mischievous this game. So I was like, why not? Just bring Mischievous. It is like the better answer to Choice Banded. It is a slightly better answer to Choice Banded. Mammoth Swine than Granbull is. Because it has Levitate, so I can come in on a ground move if I really want to. This is just a meme Perish Song set. I was pretty confident that I was going to win this set, so I was like, I might as well just bring this meme Mischievous set. This set is just Mean Lick, Perish Song, Protect, Pain Split. Anyway, into the game. So again, I just lead off with Lopunny, it's my designated lead. It really just beat the wall of this entire team. And he leads off as Ninetales. Same thing happens last game where I just fake out, and then I get rid of Snow Turn. And then turn 2, I go straight for the Iron Tail. Thankfully, I connect the Iron Tail in that Iron Tail, and the 1/4 chance to miss didn't occur there. So I take out his Ninetales straight from the get-go. Don't have to deal with Snow after the 6 turns are up, and I don't have to deal with Veil. So Ninetales goes down. Surprisingly, he didn't bring Blaziken, but he just brought Pikachu. I see him just like as a meme too. He goes very into Mammoth Swine. I decided to hard flop here to my Mischievous because like the way he brought it in just makes me think it's Choice Scarf, he's gonna kill me with Superpower, or it's Focus Dash, he's killing me with Superpower, so I just go straight for my Mischievous. Then he says Stealth Rock, and then I just go straight for the and he makes a huge misplay here. He just forgot the Mischievous ability is Levitate, and he just hits me with EQ. I thought he might go for a knockoff or something there, but either way, I go for Mean Luck here. He's trapped in now. He goes right. In his only attack move can be with Ice Shard Defense. So let's go for Perish Song. And I protect the stall 1 turn. And then Pain Split this turn, just get my health back. And then I decided to I could have just let my Mistress in here to die. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really do much, to be honest. But I decided, I might as well just take from Mischievous. So I decided to hard swap my Clodsire here, because I wasn't really concerned if it's going to die or not, because even if he does predict it with an EQ, I had a Shuckaberry, and I don't have to save this for Blaziken anymore. So. And also, there's multiple Pokemon I can get Recover on. I can get it on against, like, his entire team besides Frosmoth, so I wasn't too concerned about my Clodsire taking damage. So he goes on to the Perish count, and he goes hard. Frosmoth, so I just decided to go hard Jirachi. And even after the Quiver Dance, because I'm Scarfed, I do outspeed and just Iron Head him down. I get a crit there, which seems unfortunate, but I ran the calculator, and that crit did not matter at all. If he had Terra Ghosted, it doesn't kill, but even then, I don't die to... But even then, he might have gotten flinched or something, so... Like, so I wasn't, like, too concerned about it. And even if he did, like, not flinch and then killed me with, like, Terra Blast Ghost there, I have answers. Like, I have Sucker Punch, I have Fake Out, so... Little unfortunate. He should have Terra'd there. I don't know why he didn't, but... moving on. He weakened Pikachu. I decided to hard fuck my Mistress. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't really feel like taking, like, 80 to, like, full tackle. We go for Nuzzle, Paralyzed Mischievous. I was like, oh, okay, this is maybe, like, a mean Pikachu set. So I go for the mean... I try to do the same mean look Perish Song bullshit. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna Bull Tackle you, play rush you down. So I lose my first Pokemon of the set. Mischievous took out Meowscarada, the biggest threat to my team, so good job. And I'm going to bring my low pony, because I just figured I could just CC something at this point. It goes for E-Speed, deals a good amount of damage to me, and then I take out of the CC. Using Klefki, I just hard spots my Meowscarada because I didn't want to get T-Waves. As he just doubles the Chansey, which doesn't really do anything for him, because I just take out the Brick Break here. Again, the OKL, which I was really surprised about. I thought Chansey might have lived, but he might be running like a not physically defensive set. And he goes for Switcheroo. I guess Switcheroo. He's pretty much sucks at this point. I have Clodsire just completely walls the thing, so it didn't really matter what he does here. He goes for Switcheroo, T-Wave, T-Wave, and I could have gotten this last skill with Meowscarada, but I figured I didn't really want to waste time, so I swapped my Clodsire to get the finishing blow up with EQ.
You started a podcast in the morning.
So that was a pretty fast set. GG's to the ChallengerSeb. I'm now 1-0 on the season, and I'm looking forward to next week. Don't know who I'm playing yet, but I'll figure it out. But I'll figure it out soon. I'm gonna build a pretty good team. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate everyone who stuck around. And if you guys find this interesting, let me know. I'm still gonna make more content on this until the season's over. But because it's like an experimental content for me. So I do play like a decent amount of Showdown. Like I got to top 50 on the UU ladder the other day. But in any case, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. GG's to ChallengerSeb. Good luck in your future games, man.